So, Mr. Steinberg.
Neil.
Yeah, I'm so glad you joined me today. You know, I'm really looking to make some home improvements. So, I mean, should I go cinder block or cement?
Well, our foundation's pretty solid, but if you're depending on me for building your house, you got the wrong guy.
It's Rhode Island Foundation. I figure I'd call you guys and you can do like waterproofing. No, you don't do that?
We don't do waterproofing. We probably fund somebody that does something close to that, but we don't do it ourselves.
Well, I'm going to have to.
Fortunate to have a lot of
I'm going to
money.
have to drop you off here.
Yeah, that's
We
fine.
go to Home Depot and
Good.
find somebody maybe. It's one of the organizations that you hear of often, and they have such a strong presence in Rhode Island, but you may not know what they do, and you may not know the resources they offer and provide for so many different people. So joining me, I went right to the top. He is the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Foundation, Neil Steinberg. Neil,
Nice to
thanks
see
for
you,
joining me in the
Thank you.
car today. Beautiful day in downtown Providence,
Right.
where you have spent many years.
I've spent my whole career down here. So I started many years ago as a banker when I was young with a bank that some people who, if they've been around a while, will remember as Industrial National Bank and
Sure.
then Fleet Bank, and grew up for 25 years in the so-called Superman building.
Wow.
So it's near and dear to me. And then I went to Brown for a while to head up fundraising. And then I've been at the Rhode Island Foundation, had the honor and the privilege of being the CEO for 10 years now.
Wow, that's exciting. For people who don't know, who may not be familiar, you do not offer advice on foundation, whether it be cement or cinder blocks. What is the Rhode Island Foundation?
So if we ever do, don't take it, because we don't really know
Okay,
anything about it.
good point.
Somebody might be tempted to do it. So the Rhode Island Foundation does three primary things, and we are the state's community foundation. There's about 700 community foundations in the country.
Wow.
Geographically, we're one of the few statewide ones, and we're one of the oldest and one of the largest. So we're 102 years old, and we're pretty big, and that gives us the ability to help as many Rhode Islanders as possible. So we work with people who are philanthropic, who want to give back to the community, and we will open funds for them to make their dreams come true, to give back to the community financially. And we can talk a little about that. So we have over 1,700 funds. They add up to an endowment, a permanent endowment where we spend the income on that endowment and we invest it, of almost $1 billion right now. We then give out money. So we give out grants to nonprofits, and we're by far the largest funder to all the nonprofit organizations in the state of Rhode Island. And we can go into more detail on that. And on the third part of it that we started over the last 10 years is we take more leadership and advocacy roles to help take the state forward, whether it's in education or it's healthcare or it's economic development, of leading initiatives, convening people, getting people together. We're able to do that, and we're here for the long term for a great Rhode Island.
You guys have done so many great things. I mean, really, you touch so many different nonprofits and charity groups. A lot have been featured on this show. You guys have started taking more active role in civic leadership as well.
Right.
Talk to me about that programming.
Sure. So what we want to do, as I said, is we want to move Rhode Island forward. So our mission is to be a proactive, philanthropic, and community leader dedicated to meeting the needs of all people in Rhode Island. So our priorities are healthcare, K-12 education, economic security, and we support also organizations in the environmental sector and in the arts and in human services, and just helping. We say we touch all million people through the other organizations. But in order to get things done for the future, to take things from here and improve them for the future, we go beyond the grant making. So more than just the money is the civic leadership. We need, and the state needs, more people that get involved, that provide leadership, civic and civil dialogue, not something that we all take for granted anymore around with people yelling at each other on
Sure.
social media and things. But again, to get people together in these areas, to get the people that are knowledgeable, and to improve public education in the state, to improve affordability and access of healthcare, to make sure that there's job training for everybody that needs it and wants it. And that meant that we had to just double down beyond just making a grant and get in there with leadership throughout the state.
You talked about education. It's a very important tenet to what you guys do, from, preschool and even early intervention right up and through. Talk to me about your education initiative.
Sure. So education is the ticket to the dance for everybody. We need an educated workforce. We need to be able to attract companies here and say we have a quality education. It needs to be equitable, and it's not. We have too many underserved communities that are not getting the education opportunities they need. We have the highest Latino achievement gap in the United States for the last couple of years. And so we're behind. And it doesn't mean we don't have good teachers, because we do, and good principals, because we do. Just as a system, we need to up our game. And so what we do is we will fund programs that work, and some of the nonprofits that are active in the schools, the City Years, the PASAs, Teach for America, many others that are in the schools. We need to fund innovation. So what is that group in Charahoe trying? What's that group in Newport trying with their schools on STEM and STEAM and science, on reading? What's the learning community doing in Northern Rhode Island, and do that. And then also look to the future. So we are initiating 2 long-term planning efforts that we said we would do for the state. One is, what do we want education to look like in 10 years? Okay. What do we want for our kids, for our workforce, for our results? Massachusetts, right next door, has arguably the best education outcomes in the United States. 25 years ago, they set on a plan and stayed the course. So we're looking at that, and the same thing on healthcare. What do we want health to be? How do we get a healthier population? How do we make sure everybody can afford what they need? And how do we look down the road and say, okay, how do we provide healthcare at a reasonable cost for as many people as possible, and not have the disparities that we have among certain groups that are not getting the access or the care that they needed? So what we're doing today on the ground and supporting organizations, and then where do we want to be in 10 years?
I made light of it in the beginning. We talked about it, the foundation, meaning the basement. But really, you guys, I realize that foundation in the sense of Rhode Island Foundation, it means organization, but you literally provide a foundation, a solid footing for so many of these groups and so many initiatives that you're right. If the foundation isn't solid, then the rest of the house is going to fail.
Yeah, no, I immediately smiled when you said it, because it did click. And in another way, we're working with all these organizations, and they're the building blocks. Sure. So on top of the foundation are the building blocks to kind of build what we want to be. I remind our board all the time that we have the honor and the privilege of being the largest funder, but we're not the boots on the ground. So all these wonderful nonprofit organizations throughout the state are doing great work, whether it's in their sector or their geography, and we're able to support them. We want to see the services, we want to see the benefits get through to the rest of the population to be part of it. And that's where you get into the part of working with donors who are then going to support it. So through us and with us, they can support the organizations, the causes, the sectors, and again, a better Rhode Island with us as a partner.
That's an excellent point. We've got some amazing organizations. I think we're very lucky here. You've touched on education. We've got great schools. You've talked on healthcare. We've got some amazing hospitals. We've got great doctors. We've got great schools that are teaching the education. Arts. I mean, PPAC just celebrated its 90th.
Yes.
We've got great theaters locally like Trinity Rep, and even the smaller theaters that are on the outskirts like Stadium Theater or Theater by the Sea or the GAM. Yeah. I mean, just really all the Arctic Playhouse. Just so many great things. We also are just. It seems to me we are just so full of and loaded with wonderful philanthropic organizations, sponsor this show, Cardi's Furniture, Nick Ronapete. How many times are you guys with them?
Yep.
We got, wonderful, corporate involvement here. So if people are at some of these big corporations, all they really have to do is just ask around there, and they'll find out that very quickly they're tied in with you guys and doing wonderful stuff.
No, that's right. And as I sit here listening to you very enthusiastically, one of our goals is to be a positive voice for Rhode Island. Sure. There are plenty of people around that, as you know, have a negative view or will bash the state or something. We've got a great state, and it can always get better. We're of the size where we should be able to reach out and touch everybody sitting where we are in your car right now.
Sure.
45 minutes away, every person in Rhode Island. We can get anywhere and see anybody in 45 minutes. So all of those positive things, even when it comes to taking care of people on the social services side, whether it's Amos House or it's, on the housing area, some of the organizations, we've got very robust organizations and people. Organizations are structures. Money is money. We have great people in the state.
You hit it right on the head. Tell me something that people may not know about the Rhode Island Foundation, or because you guys just do so many different things. Yeah. It's tough to cover it all in such a short car ride. Right. We could probably go, up and down and side to side in the state and still not cover everything you guys are doing. But what's something that maybe that not commonly known fact?
Sure. So, you make a good point about how many miles. One of the things I get asked all the time is, what's your elevator speech? And I say, how many floors do I have? Because there's a lot to be done. So I'll give you a couple of examples. One is that we're very proud of, and it's more and more relevant actually each year, is we have a lot of funds for scholarships. Okay. So parents, family members, students who are going to college, we've had a lot of generous Rhode Islanders over the years set up funds, and if anybody's interested in setting up a fund, we can help them specifically for scholarships. And they range from general to students from Shea High School in Pawtucket, or Rogers High School in Newport, or by sector, somebody going into the nursing sector or going into arts or something like that. Whole variety of them. On our website, rifoundation.org, there's a section you can go and look up scholarships, but we always encourage people to look, because we're giving out a couple of $1 million a year in scholarships. That's excellent. They range in size from small to very large, but really something that not a lot of people know, that we are a source for scholarships.
You're like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Right. That should be your theme song. You should have that playing. Give it away, give it away.
I'll mention that, yeah. Our success is we have a budget for our grants based on our big endowment and how much we earn, and our goal is to have nothing left at the end of that budget, is to give it all away.
What a gig!
What a gig! And it is. It's an honor.
You're the luckiest guy, and you're like Santa Claus for Rhode Island.
I have the best job around. Unfortunately, we have to say no once in a while.
Okay, no, that's okay.
On average, it's a great thing, and it's a great place, and it's the best job I've ever had. There's one other initiative that we've done. Some people might have seen that we did earlier this spring, called Together Rhode Island, and we did a listening tour around the state.
Yeah.
We decided, as I said earlier, we were tired of hearing about not having people be able to talk with each other, to have people listen to each other, to have civic and civil dialogue the way we used to be able to have compromise. If you and I disagree and we're sitting here and we're riding around, we could talk about it. Maybe we'll agree, maybe we won't, but we'll be civil to each other.
Sure.
That was going away. Not enough people getting together. So we decided to test and see if we provided the venue, if we provided opportunities for people to just come out, sit down, have a meal, talk to each other, and see how it worked.
That's kind of like a mind-blowing concept right there.
It was a pretty basic concept.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
We're going to take a room.
Right.
Tables and chairs.
Yep.
Food on the table.
Tables of 8.
Tables of 8.
Family-style food.
Okay. And you talking,
right,
like with your mouth or texting each other?
No text. Talking with your mouth. So here's what we did. So the most brilliant thing is we used a great Rhode Island menu of pasta, chicken, meatballs, and salad.
Beautiful.
And we did 20 of these around the state over 6 weeks, 3 nights a week, pretty much. I went to all of them.
And you look good, too.
Well, yeah, the good news is that I like the food. The bad news is I gained 5 pounds. Wow, we consumed almost 2,000 pounds of pasta and over 2,000 meatballs.
Wow.
But what we did was, though, had tables of 8, and it didn't matter whether there were 3 tables or 4 tables in Chapachet or in Providence where there were 15 tables. All the action was at your table.
That's great.
And what you did was you talked with people you didn't know. 99% of the people met people they didn't know. And we talked about and asked people to talk about what are the strengths of Rhode Island, what are the opportunities in Rhode Island, and what are the issues in your community. And we recorded them, and University of Rhode Island worked with us to develop a survey. So we have data. We actually collected 1,300 people across these 20 venues, very enthusiastically. Nobody kept quiet, nobody screamed and yelled. We had the civic and civil dialogue, and we found out really interesting things about how proud people are, what some of the issues are. People said they were more engaged after coming to these. Most of them filled out the questionnaire. The size of the state that we talked about was communicated as both a strength and an opportunity, bordering on how come we can't get our act together in this little state
I know.
where we can all reach out and touch everybody, do that. Better education, more affordable housing available to people, jobs and job training, all issues that need to be undertaken. Better public transportation some areas, the beautiful natural resources we have. And it created this great dialogue and this great spirit. And it accomplished having civic and civil dialogue. It was open invitation, anybody could come. It was not a political event, no stripes. You know, if a politician came, they were Joe or Mary or whatever.
Yep, they're just
just a resident.
Citizens.
So how we do this in the future, we may do it by topic, so bring in people to talk about education or healthcare. I don't know if we'll do this exact format again, but it was really great to see you and I sit down, bonding over pasta and chicken and meatballs.
Sure.
And just talking with each other.
That's so great.
It was really cool.
And nobody was hangry because they had the food
Correct.
right there. That's a beautiful thing.
That was it. And you know, we diffused that part. Not many people complained about the food because it was just there.
Delicious.
And they're talking at the same time.
Sure.
We didn't run out. So it was just, you know, a very positive, uplifting, we can do this. It just doesn't all come as naturally as it used to.
Sure.
You don't see people hanging out at the grocery store or at the lodge or at the PDA or everything. People are very busy these days, but we have to get back to that civil and civic dialogue.
Neil, thank you so much for all the great work you do. A shout out to Chris
Thank you,
Barnett. Maybe
yes.
Chris Barnett will give us some construction advice, but
Yes.
constructive.
He's more likely to get you the meatballs and pasta.
Well, constructive advice is something you guys dish out soundly, constantly, and working. And folks, if you want to get involved, they also have great spaces available at the Rhode Island Foundation at their location. So if you're looking for something, a place to have a meeting or something, you guys have great.
Within
facilities.
mainly for the nonprofit communities
So
and stuff. And anybody who wants to establish a fund to help us do the good stuff, just give us a call. We're glad to talk.
I couldn't say it better myself. Find them on Facebook, find them online, learn about it, and most importantly, folks, if you've got students that are looking to go to college, take the time and do the research. It's not a quick search. Take the time, really write it down, because he's literally paid to help you out. Beautifully.
Good description.
Sir, thank you.
Is that okay?
That was perfect.
Good, perfect. Thank
That's
you.
it.
No,
I think we should go find some pasta and
I know.
meatballs now.